everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to the Weekly Energy Boost. My name is Elisheva, and I have the honor and privilege of being joined this morning by famous Kabbalistic astrologer Yael Yardeni, who we'll hear a lot from over the next 50 minutes. We are here to talk about modern times in the astrology signs, and we'll go into how we've all been dealing with these unprecedented and unfounded scenarios that we've been experiencing the last year. And hopefully at the end of the show, Yael will also be able to give us a little bit of a forecast of what we can expect according to Kabbalistic astrology in the near future. So if you're joining us for the first time, the Weekly Energy Boost is your 7-day energy forecast. We look into the wisdom of Kabbalah. The primary source, of course, is the Zohar, but we look in the wisdom of Kabbalah and try to glean the most powerful and profound wisdom and advice and prescriptions so that you can navigate the next 7 days of your life, not even in a better way, but in the best way that will create that precedent for the coming year. So every week we try to bring in the best of the best so that our listeners are not only having the best in their own lives, but also in the world around them. And the reason, I have to tell you, I guess we've been doing this, the show almost 3 years, we're about to hit the 3-year mark. I'm pretty sure that Yael has been on at the top of my wishful guest list. And finally, I managed to staple her down to the chair in the studio, and here she is with us. So for those of you that are not familiar with Kabbalistic astrology, I think the best place to start is, how does Kabbalistic astrology differ from conventional astrology?
Actually, it's a very good question, and many don't understand exactly how it works. But I would say that the main difference is that we are using a binary calendar. You know, we are all familiar with the Gregorian calendar. You know, it never moves. You know, you have the same saints every day. It's very, very much engraved in stone. And the Gregorian calendar for us is connected to the sun. It's all the cycles of the seasons. It's the cycle of the sun. Now, a lot of us are also familiar with another calendar, which is actually the lunar calendar, and that's the Islamic calendar. So for the ones of us that are a little bit more versed, you know, we know that there are certain holidays, for example, in Islam, that it's the same holiday. Sometimes it's going to be in the spring, sometimes it's going to be in the summer, sometimes it's going to be in the winter. So like the same holiday is going to go all around because the lunar year is significantly shorter. So the lunar year is 354 days. The Gregorian calendar is 365 days. So we use both calculation, meaning our month is lunar, our year is solar. And in order to restore like the missing days, 7 times in 19 years, we're going to have an additional month of Pisces. So our friends, the Pisces, get the jackpot with 2 months.
You all get the jackpot because there's twice as many of us every few years.
That's correct. And so maneuvering this calendar, a lot of times people, for instance, are going to think that they are Aries, and then they
That happened to me. I was sure I was Aquarius until coming to the Kabbalah Center, and then I found out I am full-blown Pisces.
I forgot about that, actually. You're Aquarius Pisces. That makes sense. That makes so much sense. Okay, I got it. So a lot of us, when we take a look at the forecast, you know, in magazines and everything, which I have a funny story if we have the time today to tell you about that. But when we look at the forecast, we get that this is not me. This is not like the characteristics that I have. And it's because probably in that year, you know, the whole year get bounced in one side or another. And then you are not the sign that you think you are. So I would say that the Kabbalistic calendar is so much more refined and accurate when it comes to the signs of the zodiac that it makes a lot more sense. And the second big difference, it's the way that we interpret all the different planets. The meaning we give to them is different from the conventional explanation. And also we use traditional rulership, meaning we don't use Pluto, Uranus, and Neptune for personal readings. We just use them for mass events. You know, for us, Pluto, Uranus, and Neptune, and for some normal astrologers as well, they only rule like masses of big events, social revolutions, changes in global consciousness, as opposed to affecting the individual. They affect the bigger picture.
Got you. And so when we talk, you mentioned horoscopes a second ago. There's, in Kabbalistic terms, there's no magazine column that says, if you're Taurus, stay in bed this month, or if you're Pisces, you're going to find your soulmate. It's a lot more precise, and there's no way to generalize in that sense. And there's also no boxing in, which is one of the things that really struck me about Kabbalistic astrology, is it doesn't define me.
100%. One of the big understanding in Kabbalistic astrology is that we have this information in order to transcend it. If we have this information just to have it, by all means, let me stay in bed. Like certain days when the cosmos, when it rains, it pours, and you look at, your chart and the transits, and if you cannot change it, please definitely stay in bed. There's no point. The whole idea is that, okay, now I know that I have this limitation in my natal chart, or right now I'm encountering a difficult transit. Fantastic. Let me roll my sleeves up and make it better. Because if that's not the case, better not know. And that comes from the astrologer.
It reminds me, we have a mutual friend whose astrology chart indicates that he won't have any children in this life.
Yes.
And I know his 4 children, and I love them very much. And to me, that's a great illustration of how, in terms of what we learn in Kabbalah, we don't learn astrology so that we can label or limit or confine ourselves to any path or predicament. It's really so that we can see the hand of cards that we were dealt and decide, how do we want to play this hand?
100%. And I think that it's actually super encouraging. I mean, I don't understand how we can maneuver life without a natal chart. I mean, they say people don't come with an instruction manual. I beg to differ. They do. It's their astrological chart. So look in the manual and see what are going to be like your great, your great strengths. And with those great strengths, fill up the blanks, fill up like the gaps, the things that are not working so well. There is balance in the universe. Whenever there are difficulties, we are given the cards to overcome them.
And not only that, many times on the show, I'm sure for those of you who are listening for a while, you hear David and I talking about tikkun, what our soul came to the world to correct. And a lot of the questions we get from our listeners are, how can we know? What's the best way to find out? And there are absolutely methodologies and techniques. You can sit down with a piece of paper and a pencil. That's a lot of the work that we do with individual students, is help them work on their tikkun. But square one is always a Kabbalistic astrology chart reading, because it really does give you the map and help you decide where you want to recalculate, similar to GPS. If
100%.
You see that there is something there that, for me, it's like the roadmap to, or that maybe the strategy on how to change when and with what support. Because part of what the astrology chart shows is your gifts, things that you might not even realize that you are a gifted writer or speaker, or that you have a hidden talent for bringing people together. These are things that can be uncovered in your chart, and by exercising those muscles, you can uncover even more, not only talents, but also ways to experience joy and fulfillment that you might not have known before.
Well, 100%. There is always in philosophy, there is this like duality, or these two different opinions about free will versus, destiny, or free will versus something predetermined. And then a lot of times when we talk about astrology, many people have in mind, oh my God, this is predetermined. But we know in the Kabbalistic system that both are right. How are both right? A, I have free will every single moment on my life, but B, there are certain things, that the chart will show us that I need to overcome, that I need to go through. In a way, like I'm driving the car, and there's certain roads that sometimes are a little rocky or a little bit more difficult than other roads in our life. However, I'm the driver. So it answers, Kabbalistic astrology, I think, is the only place where you get the answer, the proper answer for that, like century-long metaphysical, dialogue between predeterminism and free will.
Right. I may be on a road, but I get to decide how I drive on that road.
100%. So both are right. There are certain things, certain events in our life that are happening so we can grow, but at no given moment do I not have control.
Right. And so I think that that's a perfect lead into one of the things we wanted to talk about today is that, in this past year, the 2020, actually I saw something quite funny, that if you take the number 2020 and you turn it 90 degrees, it says no.
Oh, no.
So a lot of people have resisted or feeling this, we joke about it at this point, but dread and fear and trepidation about not only what's happened and what's happening, but what will happen. And Yael is, obviously you can hear she's a gifted speaker as well. We wanted to go through the signs, or the families of signs at least, and share how are we individually, let's say 1/12 of us in each group, handling, and how can we handle, what's an even better mindset to navigating these unprecedented times. So where should we begin?
Well, I'm going to give like a general understanding, of everything that's going on, because everybody's asking me, like I'm getting SMS nonstop, like, you're the astrologer, like what's going on, that's happening. So I think that in the bigger picture of things, the energy in the cosmos started to shift in year 2000. I mean, it's also a very important year in the Kabbalistic calendar.
People were going crazy. What's going to happen with
Exactly.
Y2K? People moved. They changed jobs. They built bunkers. We were quite worried about it.
Absolutely, and we were worried that all the computers were going to crash. I mean,
and we were going to lose all our money, and the banking
Exactly.
system was going to disappear. I remember.
Like we had this, like, awe or fear or stress about year 2000. But actually, Kabbalistically, it's the year 5,760 from the counting of Adam. This is the way that, the Kabbalists count all the years. And so year 2000 was definitely like a milestone for all of humankind, to a point that even, in socially, like when you take a look at social studies, there is a whole generation called the millennials. That's it. It's like a different trend. It's a different, different type of souls, different desires. We say that the millennial are a little bit too confident or a little bit lazy. But it definitely
it's our fault as their parents, by the way.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Exactly. Anyway, so like we know that this was a milestone. So astrologically, ever since we had, Pluto entering Capricorn, like there's a lot of Capricorn energy that is entering in, and the Capricorn energy says, guys, responsibility. Like when Pluto was in Sagittarius before, like the new millennium, what would happen? Like people would gamble, like it's kind of, we can gamble, we get lucky, we do all kind of things, we're completely free. Like there was this, energy of freedom, and, freedom, with great freedom comes great responsibilities, which I think we completely missed as humankind. And then from the year 2000, the energy slowly became heavier and heavier and heavier. So like a lot of things that we thought were going to go one way went another way. We started to feel more and more hindered in a very strange way, because at the same time you have like Facebook and you have all this freedom, online, on Instagram, like you can say whatever, you can photograph yourself, like send a message out to millions and millions of people. So on one hand, it seems that we have a lot of freedom. On the other hand, there is a lot of like stress. So like what's going on? Like we've been feeling a lot of, like, I would say, contradictory messages plus stress. And the culmination of this is in 2020, because we started 2020 with like Jupiter entering Capricorn as well. We already had Pluto in Capricorn, Saturn in Capricorn. What does it mean? Capricorn, responsibility, groundedness, heaviness, organizations. So imagine that Pluto and Saturn a little bit like Baxi Siegel and Al Capone. Okay, so I don't,
Our younger listeners probably have to Google that.
Yes,
Bugsy
please
Siegel
Google
and
that. I
Al
mean, I don't know,
Capone.
like who can we say, like, you Alicia, you have young kids. Who can we say would be like the two gangsters,
Gangsters. I think
Yeah,
everybody
two
knows.
gangsters of
Imagine
this
two
generation,
gangsters,
right?
Right.
Imagine two gangsters, and these gangsters are like exposing everything, kind of Robin Hood, exposing like everything that is not going well with humankind. And all of a sudden, Jupiter in Capricorn joins. I mean, Jupiter is like the Pope. So imagine the Pope is actually joining in with the Robin Hood gangsters that are showing everything that's going on, right? That doesn't work, all the corruption. And please, PS, take a look at what's going on. Everything that wasn't right, all these big scandals that have been happening. I mean, a lot of people were exposed, like a lot of things came to light that were not in light, that were hidden before.
It's
And
not
that's
that they
the
didn't
Capricorn.
exist, but they
It
came
was
out.
always there. It just all came out. It's like everything boiled out, like the cream when you boil the milk. Everything came. And now, like with Jupiter, wow, Jupiter says, oh, come on, what's going on? We have to fix it. This is not right. It's a little bit like the holier than thou of the cosmos. So everything comes up. So obviously, in a way, thank God. Thank God, because it's a cleansing for humankind to know all of this. Like we have to start taking responsibility, each and every one of us, and having our voice heard in many ways. But when the Pope joined the gangsters, we get a plague. Why do we get a plague? We get a plague because the cosmos is saying, wow, like we now need to go in. And, God forbids, in no way, shape, or form do I think that the plague is a good thing. I mean, there is a silver lining to everything. But I mean, we Kabbalists or students of Kabbalah, and we can really feel the pain of what's going on. And we go like, oh my God, like, what are we going to do? What can we do for that to be better? And what can we do for that to be better is each and every one of us to take our own responsibility to put order. Capricorn, it's law and order. Put order in your life, put order in your thought, put order in your belief systems. And placing that order is very cleansing, and it's very cathartic, because now it's clear, this is what I don't want. I don't want this, I don't want this. And this is what I want. So in a way, individually, it's I think an unbelievable opportunity to put order and to kind of cleanse ourselves, soul and heart and mind. That's what I would, that would be technically the silver lining. And so obviously, when you are an astrologer and you make fun of all the signs like we do, in Kabbalistic astrology, you go like, oh my God, how are every family of signs handling what's going on? Because there are 4 families of signs for the ones of you that are, not really familiar with it. We have like the fire family, we have the earth family, we have the air family, and the water family, which you belong to, my dear friend.
We rarely
Elisheva.
have fire signs. It's funny because normally our top guests are Bati Solomon, who's a Leo like Yael, and Daniel Naor. So we always joke that when people come on the show, they're between 2 Pisces.
Oh, wow, that's right.
So.
That's very interesting. So, yeah. So basically, few characteristics for like really the layman, listening, like what are the characteristics of these families of signs? So like the fire family, which are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, their positivity, their positive quality is the energy they bring into the plate. It's like the enthusiasm, the warmth, right? That would be like the really big plus. And of course, the minus, when you have this kind of energy, it comes with tremendous pride and tremendous ego and tremendous, I'm never going to ask for help. God forbids, okay? So that would be like the plus and the minus. The earth comes with very positive attributes of manifestation. Like really, when you want something to be done, go to an earth signs, because they're going to get it done. They're going to create a system. They're going to make sure that everything is grounded, that it's going to be functioning. Like your fire will give the energy and the idea your earth will say, okay, great, fantastic, sit down, let's figure out how we're going to do it. So that's a great, great asset. And every company, to my opinion, needs earth in the accounting department, particularly, and, in the creation of the systems. But of course, when you create systems, it's going to come with a downfall. And the downfall of the earth is that they don't like changes. Anything to do with changes, like I'm joking that when you have an earth sign in front of you, there is one word you don't say in the sentence, and that would be the word change. So use upgrade.
Improve.
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh, upgrade is good because they kind of like business class, they like their comfort zone, right? So like use upgrade from economy to business. So that would be completely understood in the world of an earth, right? So obviously, you understand from what I'm telling you that there is a whole language that is completely different attached to every family of sign, okay? So that's another forum. I mean, we can talk about it endlessly. The air, their amazing attribute, it's people. Like an air, we don't know how that happens, but an air sign, which would be Gemini or Libra or Aquarius, for some reason, all the information of the zodiac find a way to them. It's like straight from the cosmos. Like you have an air sign in your family, they know what's going on in the royal house in Buckingham Palace. We don't know how they heard it. And they also know what's happening at your neighbor's place in the 26th floor, the same neighbor you've never met in your life. But they know the cat died in the neighbor, God forbid, in the neighbors, or the old lady had an argument, in the building with, some member of their family. How on earth do you know? Nobody knows. Information find their way to the air signs. So they are conveyor of information, and they are fantastic at sharing, knowledge. Knowledge information is the amazing and networking, amazing attribute of the air family. But it comes with a serious downfall. And what's a serious downfall? No feeling attached. You ask an air sign, what do they feel? They look at you horrified. What do you think? They'll have a lot to say. What do you feel? They kind of go on a frozen mode.
Deer in the headlights.
Yes, the deer in the headlights. We talking about feelings. We are not talking about feelings. So like the feelings is like really like the no-go of an air sign. So if you're married to one, you're a partner with one, your boss is an air sign, not to ask how they feel, rather how they think, and try to understand from that what they really feel, okay? And finally, the water family, which are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, have an unbelievable gift for intuition, for knowing people, for reading people. They read people incredibly well. It's like almost their default mechanism. They come and, like I like to say, especially about the Cancer sign, everybody wants to confess. Like you have a Cancer sign sitting at a bus station, everybody's going to come to them and confess all their sins. Like I threw my grandmother under a bus when I was 5. I drowned the cat when I was 6, Like it's so easy to talk to them and connect with them emotionally because they give the platform to do so. But of course, the downfall of that is since they feel everything, it comes with a lot of fears. Water signs are really plagued with fears because it's too much. They feel too much. They know too much almost.
And that's why in this month of Scorpio, we've been focusing the shows on talking about fear.
That's correct. That's correct. Well done, because we don't know what to do with the fear. And by the way, if you're asking yourself, Halloween always happens in the months of Scorpio. Why? Because all of us in our subconscious, we know that Scorpio month is the sum of all fears. And they all come out in Halloween.
That's crazy. I didn't realize that.
This is humankind, everybody knows everything. We just don't know how to dress it up. We all know everything. This is like the collective unconscious of Jung, or, it doesn't matter how we want to call it, but we are souls first and foremost before signs and anything else. And the souls, they just know. but they don't know that they know. So when you learn Kabbalah, you realize that you knew that you know. I think it's that way.
Perfect way to explain it. It's really we're reawakening the soul's memory, and that's why some people say, oh, I've always felt that, I've always thought that, but I didn't have a system in which to make it work for me. And Kabbalah is the system to make it work for you. Now, you may have listened to what Yael is saying and identified or resonated not only for yourself, but for the people that are closest to you, that's, Yael basically did like a 30-second reading on each family of signs. If you're interested in taking this deeper, and we'll go a little deeper in a minute, but if you want to have more personalized reading of your astrological chart according to Kabbalistic Astrology, we have a discount for our listeners. You can go to the website astrology.kabbalah.com and enter the code WEB, that's for Weekly Energy Boost 2021. And get a 15% discount on chart readings there. You can choose languages, time zones, different astrologers, but the website is astrology.kabbalah.com. The coupon is WEB 2021, and you'll get there a 15% discount on astrological chart readings. Yael, how do you want to take the rest of the the time we have together?
Well, let's talk about how all these families of signs are living the present moment, which really feels very unsafe and very, very heavy and stressful. So the fire family, and I will give you like a really true story that happened to me, and it's going to make you laugh. I mean, we have to laugh at every situation. That's my theory, but I mean, never mind. So the fire signs, on a lockdown, how does that work? So we're going to have to replace all the dishes pretty much, because fire sign feel like the lion in the cage, like we have to stay home and like, okay, this is our territory, but come on, I have no way of shining my light technically, and I don't get to look fabulous when I, start my day, like after a few months in the lockdown. And for me, I had a real journey. I happen to be a fire sign, but I had a whole journey because we got locked up in a country. We went to Israel to visit some family members, and then they closed down the country. And so for 7 months, I was, quote unquote, not with, not under my own roof, but under family roof with 2 suitcases. And me being a fire sign, I started to make circles. In the beginning, like the few weeks, I was making circles in the house, like trying to figure out how I was going to live my life between, these 4 or 5 or 6 walls. And what to do. And finally, of course, we learned spirituality. We found breakthroughs, and on the contrary, we managed to like really get amazing ideas on how to maneuver that. But the first instinct of the fire is like, oh my God, I'm getting claustrophobic. This is not like, where is my territory? How do I extend? Remember, it's very simple. When you light a match in the field, in 2 minutes, the whole field is burning. This is the quality of the element of fire. It has to spread. If it doesn't spread, it dies. Like literally, either the match dies or like forget it, or like the whole like field is burning up. Really, that's the quality. The fire has to spread. So we have all the fire sign. We had to learn how to be like in a fireplace, to kind of generate the fire, but not burn down the whole house, We had to learn to be contained, which has been a very interesting experience, which didn't come, which came with a lot of consequences. So while we were in Israel, like we have like neighbors that were very, very nice, that we got to know our neighbors like through the balcony, literally. And our neighbors were like fire signs, and all the house actually was fire signs. The kids were fire signs. And one day we are going like down for a little walk, that when they finally opened up for us to go a little bit more than 50 meters away from the building because of all the restrictions. And then we realized that all the fire signs, because there were like, I think 4 kids in that house, they threw out all their notebooks from the window. So all the like books of the school, they're not going to school. They dumped all the school books and the school notebooks from the windows. And I'm sure that parents were looking for all the material. Everything was dumped outside, and we like literally cracked up. We were like, this is what happens. This is the jungle in the house right there, And especially if you have kids that are fire signs, I mean, you need to motivate them intellectually as much as possible. Otherwise, they're going to be climbing up the walls. This is like, simple advice, but it will go like a long, long way. And just to have a quick, forecast about each and every sign of this family, like the Aries this year, guys, I mean, please be attached to money and belongings, because the Aries do not have their act together in the past year and a half about money or what they're going to do about money. So please, guys, like from my heart to yours, I'm a fire sign. I hate like sitting down with the books of accounting, but Aries, you people, you need to do that ASAP before discovering that your bank account is in minus or something, okay? So if you are an Aries and you're listening to us today, please make sure that you have your act together when it comes to money. If you are a Leo, Leos this year are all about reinvention. So while you are on the lockdown, think about your next chapter in life. How are you going to reinvent yourself? The cosmos is open for that. And especially as Saturn is going to enter, the Aquarius in January, which is the opposite sign of the Leo. Always Saturn is involved in some kind of transformation. So use the time that you are in the lockdown to think about literally your next act. That's what's happening, the next act. And if you are a Sagittarius, right now you need to learn how to not speak, because Sagittarius have always something to say about everything, and we love our friend the Sagittarius. But right now you're learning for 2020 and 2021 how to completely restrict your speech. How to completely edit what you have to say, because otherwise we don't know where that's gonna go. So like it's a very good lesson, and it's almost to take in your heart, more to internalize what's going on, with you guys, as opposed to externalize everything and not exactly broadcast, but then not deal with it, because once it's broadcasted, that's it. You don't really deal with it. So it's really like a journey into your heart, I would say, for the Sagittarius.
Okay.
So that's for the fire. So don't throw tomatoes at me. It's all good. In the end of the day, it's going to be amazing. How long is the lockdown going to continue? That's up to God, because even all the astrologer, all my colleagues, we sat down and go, okay, so there are various scenarios, which is our way to say that it really depends and relies on our work. I think that if as humankind we understand what are our real values and we stick to them, we can really shorten up our processes. That's one common asked question.
Okay.
So the next one are the Earth.
In double time.
The Earth. Gosh, what's going on with the Earth signs? So which are the Taurus and the Virgo and the Capricorn. So for the Earth, we have to refer to planet Uranus, because planet Uranus 2 years and something ago, entered the sign of Taurus. Now, even if you don't know astrology, Uranus is connected to revolutions. It's the planet that creates like big upheaval. It's the planet that was always involved in all the human revolutions. The revolution, French Revolution, the Bolshevik Revolution. Think about all the revolutions that ever happened in history, and you're going to find that the planet Uranus was heavily involved in that, because it kind of creates a platform, a cosmic platform for humankind to understand something new, to like really get to a point where we upgrade ourselves. Unfortunately, the side effect of Uranus is that, you know, you can be a revolutionary, but don't walk all over the bodies, right? I mean, we don't want to like, you know, we want to make a revolution of consciousness, not a revolution where we're going to be chopping the head off, you know, 20,000 aristocrats, such as the French Revolution. Sorry, I'm going to go back to those examples because I'm French, just in case you didn't hear it in my accent. Okay, so I know French history better than anything. So, especially the Taurus sign, because Uranus entered Taurus. So the Taurus have all their references changed. Everything that they relied on is kind of gone. So the feeling is, oh my God, where is my security gone? Where is my blanket and safety gone? The truth is, of course, it's an illusion. It's not gone anywhere. This is the lesson on how the security is not only material security. The security in our lives can never be something tangible and material because this changes all the time. Take a look at humankind. Take a look at all the periods of humankind. So many things happen. What can we control? And we cannot control belongings because there was the Great Depression and there was the crash of the stock market, which happened due to Uranus, by the way. It was connected to movements of Uranus, all of that, yeah? So we can witness that the economy is very wobbly, that whatever worked, you know, once upon a time is not working anymore. Even real estate, which is like one of the solid values, you know, for many, many centuries, well, it's wobbly too. We can't make sure that it's going to work. So, and why real estate? Because Taurus represents all of that. You know, like when you go out of Merrill Lynch in Manhattan, what is the statue? It's a Taurus. It's an ox. That's the symbol of belongings. It's the symbol of money. It's the symbol of security, right? So all of that, Uranus, you know, like the rebellious rocks, all of that. So the Taurian have to realize that, you know what? My security is somewhere else. My security is in my mind. You know, Taurus are very systematic in their mind. They are very philosophical, and you'll be surprised to know that Karl Marx was a Taurus, Sigmund Freud was a Taurus, Lenin was a Taurus. So, like all the philosophers, many philosophers, Shakespeare was a Taurus, Machiavelli was a Taurus. It's crazy, right? Like all the people that talked about systems and wrote very philosophical things were Taurus. So I'm challenging you guys, Taurus, to come up with a new way to live our life in the 21st century. I'm challenging all the Taurus to come with a new list of security blankets that is not physical and tangible, but will be more philosophical and will stretch, you know, way beyond all the signs of the zodiac to reach the heart and soul of humankind. That's what I'm challenging you to do. But having said that, you know, the earth signs are happy at home. They like to work with the pajama. They like to work with the sleepers, you know, like all these jokes with...
Close to the refrigerator.
Close to the refrigerator, completely. With, you know, like the top, like that's the funny joke about, you know, the COVID pandemics is that, you know, everybody on Zoom is looking good for like all the top and underneath, you know, like you're wearing your, all your boxer pants underneath and your sleepers, right? So I think that all together, the earth signs are like kind of very happy to stay home because, I mean, they're homey people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they like their environment. But, you know, beyond liking it, after a while, you kind of become mummified when you are an earth sign and you stay for too long home. So please, earth signs, especially Taurus, don't get all mummified. We need you forever. So stay and, you know, stay alert
And active.
Stay awake. Exactly. Stay active in your mind, make new systems. Humankind needs it. So hurry up with that. Second, Earth.
We have 11 minutes left of the show.
Okay, so let me go faster. So thank you for that. So Virgos have a year of growth. Okay, it's the air of the earth technically. So you have a year of a lot of growth in front of you. You have a year of a lot of understanding and actually a lot more activities than you had when you were going out of the house. So the Virgos are experiencing the paradox of doing a lot more while being stranded at home. So way to go. Continue with that. Do more and more and more, and without the frictions of having to move from one place to another. So definitely way to go. The Capricorns have seen a bit of a hell happening in the past 3 years. Thank God hell is going to stop. That was Saturn in your, Saturn is the karmic teacher, and it's sat in your sign for 3 years. So you got confronted with your worst fears for the past almost 3 years. And, you took it or you didn't take it, and you had to adapt and readjust and redo everything in terms of, who you are in your life and, understanding and upgrading yourself. Thank God from January onwards, you can take all the lessons of those difficult 3 years and the karmic teacher challenging you, and you can, that's it, apply all these rules and feel a lot lighter and a lot happier. So don't worry, Capricorn. Like, this is the end of a long tunnel of 3 years. And wow, we're coming back to the light. Whether we're coming back, outside or inside, doesn't matter, or indoors, you're gonna start breathing a lot better. So again, way to go for you guys. The air signs in the lockdown are multiplying their presence on Facebook. I personally know a friend that is like an Aquarius, it's a dear student of ours and a friend, which decided that he was so bored that he created another 4 Facebook pages and 4 different Instagrams of himself with different names to try to spread himself during the pandemic. I'm like, really? You're gonna be like, what? I mean, Arsène Lupin, or like, what's happening to you? You're like becoming a gangster? Like, what's going on? And he said, no, I need to be everywhere because like I'm feeling like so claustrophobic. I just need to do something to be on every possible existing internet platform, which he did. Okay, so like air signs are responding differently to everything that's been going on. I really think that the Gemini is the one that had the hardest time. I mean, they had a really, really hard year. Altogether, the Geminis had a year due to like the conglomerate of many, many planets where they probably in their mind went to hell and back. And I want to tell the Gemini that this year is going to be better because Saturn is going to help them, and it's going to help them to reconstruct themselves. Saturn is going to enter the air sign, and like new rules and regulations are going to come for the Geminis altogether. So don't worry, people, you're going to get better, just continue expressing yourself. And maybe what the cosmos is trying to tell you is start expressing your feelings. We don't understand, signals. We are human beings. We need to hear you say it. Hear you say what you feel, and you'll come out of a long, long time exile. That's my tip for the year. Our lovely friends, the Libra, got very, very challenged by Saturn for 3 years as well, which was scary, like squaring your sign. And there were a lot of legal issues with many, many Libras, things that were neglected, things that were not done properly. And you're continuing to deal with it until the middle of 2021, after which that's it. You'll have more air to breathe because all this heaviness of paperwork will be fine. And please find solace in your families, within your family and your family life. So I'm really, really like encouraging the Libra to be closer to their family members, to express themselves better, to open their heart, to really warm up to the family environment. It will be great for many, many years to come. The Aquariuses are going to have Saturn entering their sign, which is the ruler of their sign. So people start putting order in all your affairs. If there are legal things that you haven't dealt with for the longest time, Saturn entering your sign is going to make it a lot worse. So please deal with it until Saturn enters your sign, which is in January. So make notes if you are listening to us, because you're going to want to do that as soon as possible. Call the lawyers, call the accountants, see that there is nothing, no bill that you forgot to pay, and then you'll have, approximately great 3 years to come, God willing, okay? For the water signs, the Cancers were very, very challenged by Saturn, emotionally speaking. They went through a lot of emotional upheaval with Saturn in opposition to their sign. But with hard work, you have consolidated your position, whether it's at work or you might have quit already your work. No worries, something new and beautiful is at the horizon for 2021. I know that I'm sounding like a typical astrologer, but really, I feel that way. There is something new being reconstructed. There are new relationship being reconstructed if your relationship didn't survive the 3-year opposition of Saturn. Something brand new is coming to the horizon. Just Saturn taught you to not be so emotional because it wasn't beneficial for you. The Scorpios were very lazy, but their world is being rocked right now by Uranus in their opposite sign. So, dear Scorpios, you are starting a brand new, I would say, brand new phase in your life, and looking for the comfort zone is the worst idea that you can possibly have. So I want to encourage you to reach out and do things that you're not used to do, such as showing people that you are vulnerable. That will go a long, long way in making your year a lot better. I'm sounding abstract. It's actually really concrete, and you'll see why in 2021. For the Pisces, you know that Neptune right now is in the sign of Pisces, which is the sign of, this is the planet of spirituality in the sign of spirituality. So I would say that the Pisces have a really, really strong spiritual upgrade coming up for them in 2021. They're really going to feel, even in the lockdown, they're going to feel good. Water signs have their way, in their own home to feel comfortable, to make themselves comfortable, to organize everything, because they're a little bit controlling in that way. So they're controlling their environment really well. But I would say that the Pisces is going to really have a spiritual elevation, so to say, and in a more concrete way, call it an inspiration. Something of a divine cosmic inspiration coming to them that will show them how the next 20 years is going to be for them. So I think that it's a really, really important moment in the life of a Pisces. So please take notes.
Noted.
I know you feel me.
Noted. So I'm taking notes myself. Did we get everybody?
I think we got everybody.
Wow.
It was our marathon.
You can imagine how much detail we were able to go into in 40 some odd minutes. The way that the astrological chart is determined is by the exact moment of your birth and the exact location where you were born. And it's basically a snapshot of all of the influences on your emergence into the world. Now, Kabbalistically, we know that when a person comes into the world is actually based upon who they were in their previous lifetime.
Correct. The soul chooses. The soul chooses the exact time. It's a contract. Absolutely.
Even though it may seem like the mother struggles in labor, right, or there's different things that's intervening circumstances. Kabbalistically, we know that the new soul coming into it's not a new soul, but the new being coming into the world is choosing the exact degrees to come into the world that's going to assist them to fulfill their soul's purpose. And you may hear some of the things that we've been talking about and think, well, that doesn't sound very supportive or positive, but quite the opposite, that Kabbalistically, we talk about this all the time. The challenges are the means by which we grow and elevate and become who we need to be. So the same way you go to a gym and you start to lift the weights, without the resistance, without the heaviness, the muscles couldn't grow. The same thing is spiritually. So again, we want to direct all of our listeners to learn more at astrology.kabbalah.com and use the coupon code WEB, WEB 2021 to get your listeners discount. We want to make sure, I think that a lot of the questions we get in every show is directly related to, well, what about me? How does this apply to me? And an astrology reading is a really great way to better understand that. Parting words for our listeners, Yael?
Yes, all the signs together, I think we're getting an upgrade of humankind. So think about the best version of you, would be my parting words.
I love it, because that's really what Weekly Energy Boost is all about every week, trying to help everybody get to be the best version of themselves. Imagine hundreds of thousands or millions of people making that effort, how different the world would be. So as always, we're going to continue to look at your comments. You can keep posting them. If you have any questions for us, or if you're listening on podcast and want that coupon code, need help getting on, you can always email us at energyboost@kabbalah.com. You can find us here on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, CastBox, Stitcher, Google Play, and Amazon Music. We are everywhere you find your podcast, so look for us there. We'll see you next week on the Weekly Energy Boost. And thank you so much, Yael, for joining us.
Thank
it was
you
really
for having
fabulous.
me. Thank you.
Have a great
Thank you.
week, everyone.